I grew up between the city and the countryside, and always found striking that there is like a big gap, no, between the concerns and the proposals of farming culture and rural culture in a what we'd call the inheriting peasant aspects of the worldview, in terms of the way we relate with others, with the land, forms of commons, forms of also gift economy and other aspects that I grew up with. And then the contemporary culture, no, that very much is urban-centered. I tried with my training as well to learn about different tools and methodologies for rural dynamization that comes from agroecology and other Latin American schools of rural sociology and participatory action research. And I then study agroecology. And I think, yeah, that what interests me is maybe a future form of an artist as rural dynamization agent, and that learns of the notion of life, no, and good life that peasant and indigenous cultures embody, and is able to articulate together that in order to transmit, no, that possibility to other parts of society that, whether we like it or not, is increasingly urban, and in the case of Europe is with a remaining 2% of the population working with the land in this moment. So Inland is a project. It was created in 2010, mostly operating in 3 locations in Spain, 2 rural spaces and 1 urban site. This collective, composed of around 11 to 12 people, combines agricultural production and cultural production, and it tries to bring together the aspects of culture, territory and social change. So how we could understand our place as land producers merge with cultural producers and promote processes of social change. An important part of the activity of Inland is not to talk about the rural, but actually to try to test and place practices in that context. And that involves for us intervening in the landscape, let's say, through the flock of sheep we have, 300 sheep, and that makes also a transhumance, that is a seasonal movement to different grazing lands, in this case from the city to the mountains of the north of Spain, where we are recovering this abandoned village. And the flock is also, let's say, a member and an agency within the Inland project, and it's part of different also aspects that we develop, like the shepherd school for young people who want to become shepherd, or the different educational activities we carry on in our forest flock classroom in the city for schools, and also working with special education. So to try to make present, no, the reality of pastoralist cultures and rural cultures as a source as well for different arts manifestations. So for Baltic, we've looked for a way to present Inland in a way that it would be not translating its activities to the context of Newcastle, but more creating a form of dialogue with what is happening in Newcastle that relates to our concerns and practice at the moment. And that goes from working collectively with social and environmental awareness processes, and with food production, but as well to look at cases of land use that involve, let's say, a paradigm of the current debates about how we relate with the land. So forms of making use of the land in forms of agroecological processes, pastoralism and agriculture, and then also recreational uses, development, or the idea of rewilding. So how all these different ideas and visions come around of Town Moor, this particular specific piece of land in the city of Newcastle that is also commons and grazed since the Middle Ages. Look at the structures of governance of that piece of land through the guilds and the companies of the freemen, and the new other, like, let's say, also forms of governance, self-organized and emerging associations from the citizenship. So the place is a space for gathering, a space for learning about these different realities and initiatives, and it's also a sort of a curiosities cabinet for other references for Inland. That goes from the traveling gallery or the Barraca Mobile Theatre to John Hancock's visions of natural sciences and landscape planning. And I think that another aspect of the project is to try to refer to a potential form of empowering and leverage between the grassroots associations and the land they live in. So how communities could also have a stronger say, and voice in terms of the policies that affects their environments and their everyday, and in this case to connect very much with the inspiration of self-organized civil society. So in this process, I'm working with the public engagement team here at Baltic, where we have contacted beekeepers and honey producers. There is as well the Pickles Palace, that's an association that is working with recovering waste food and transforming it into pickles and preserves. And the Chile Studios is an association working on spaces of cultural creation for neurodiverse people. And they are working with pottery or different crafts as well. And we have knitting and lamps in this case. That connects a little bit with the wool production and the yarns that Maria Benjamin, who is a cultural producer that moved to become also a farmer and a shepherd, connected with García-Dory in the Lake District, and both are a big inspiration for inland, and a place as well we will visit as an extended case study during the program of the Inland Academy. The Inland Academy is a form of merge between the Shepherd School and what we call the permanent seminar. That was a form of diving into ecosophies and different theoretical frames. But in this case, it comes together in this postgraduate, and 20 or 25 cultural practitioners from different parts of the world will gather here for a few days, and we will have the chance to visit and exchange with these associations, with the town moor main actors, as well as with García-Dory and that rural context. So it's like maybe mapping, and extending that research that is somehow present in different forms in this space through the field work of those days, together with the group of the Inland Academy participants.